Assalamualaikum.
My name is Iman.
And my name is Amal.
Welcome to another podcast of Weird and Wonderful. Today we're talking about something which is really special to both of us. We're going to be talking about books, and more specifically books that have impacted our lives.
Yes.
Because I think that reading is integral to everyone's self-conscious and development. Yeah. And I don't know, I just feel like books are a really big part of my life. What about you?
Yes, they are a big part of my childhood. Yeah. The first book, I'd always wanted to read those long novels or books, whatever they
like
used
Lord of the
to
Rings.
Read. No, not that. Just the books that you used to read. Like, it's not like a children's story book. Like, it's a book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I used to read like Sweet Valley High and things like that, right?
Yes.
I wanted to read books like that, but it never
Sweet
happened.
Valley.
Yeah, it never happened for me until I was sick with the mumps. And I had to stay with my grandma for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were staying at like my aunt's house, so there were like children's books there, but the books that I was talking about. So the first book I ever read was Magic Tree House. Did you ever read that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about these siblings. I think their names were Jack and Annie, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember. But yeah, they have a magic tree house. And in that tree house, there's lots of different books. So they just have to open a book and say they want to go there. And the tree house turns and spins, and then they
actually go.
They get to go there in that time era.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then I read all of them.
It's a series?
It's a series.
Okay.
So while I was sick with the mumps, I found a love for reading. That's
very specific. Yeah. I do also remember that when we were younger, our mom used to number all our books. So the thinner ones will get a 1, and then the thicker ones will get 2, 3, or whatever, depending on the level. And then every time we read a book, we would jot them down, the number of the book that we read. So those are considered points. And then at the end, when you've collected enough points, so just say you need 30 points to get a new book or a new toy or something. So once you've collected enough points, then mommy would take us to MPH. Because that time, the only bookstore really was MPH. Mm-hmm. There was no Kinokuniya.
I don't think I was involved in that program.
Really? Maybe you're in a program.
Yeah, no, I think it was just you and others.
Really?
I remember seeing those numbers.
Yeah.
But I don't think I did it.
You know what mommy's trick also was, is because she knew I would read all these Western books, so she also had Islamic books, and she would number the Islamic books so high. Mm-hmm. Even if the Islamic book was this thick, and a Western book was this thick, this one would get a 1 and this one would get a 7.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So she would encourage me to read those
really
more.
Funny.
Maybe it was when you were younger.
I don't think I was involved.
No, that was a really good trick. I think I might have to do it with my children one day.
Inshallah.
But I remember, to your Magic Tree House, to me, was Enid Blyton.
Right.
And one of the books that I read all of... Do you read Enid?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
But I don't think... Not as staunchly as you, though.
Okay. One of my favorite Enid Blyton books is Malay Towers, which is this one right here.
Right.
And firstly, her name is Daryl Rivers, and I was like, what a nice name. I want to be called Daryl Rivers one day, not knowing that I will never be Daryl Rivers. And you want to know how much I read this book? Firstly, there's a lot of dust on it, but it's broken in the middle.
You read that over and over?
Yeah. It's basically a book about...
English boarding school.
An English boarding school. And I was so determined that I would go to an English boarding school, but it never happened. And Mama usually writes the date in this, but I don't think she did. But I just loved reading this book. And
I read that too a little later, but I wasn't obsessed like you.
They were all my friends.
You didn't have any real friends?
No, I didn't have real friends. These were my friends. Oh, Gwendolyn. Do you remember Gwendolyn?
Yeah, she's the annoying one, right?
Yeah, she was she had blonde hair, and they called her very frivolous.
And the headmasters were Beauty and the Beast, right? Mrs. Best and Mrs. Bell or something like that.
I think that's St. Clair's.
Oh, okay.
That's so Enid Blyton wrote 2 of these.
I think she wrote a few.
She did, but I think 2 of school type ones.
Right.
Yeah. and it was Daryl, and her friend's name was Sally. That was her best friend. But anyway, this was like a really important book to me growing up because a lot of my childhood ambitions were based on this.
Really?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Like, this is where I want to go to school and whatever. Obviously, that didn't work out.
For me, my childhood companions were the works of Jacqueline Wilson. This one in particular, it's called. It's 2 books in one. See, so I was already getting the bargain.
This is 3 books in one.
Her mom taught us well. Anyway, this one is called Jacqueline Wilson's Superstars, but actually it has 2 books. The first one is The Suitcase Kid, and the second one is The Lottie Project.
Isn't that my book?
Yes, it is your book, I think. And you gave it to me. You told me to read it. Yeah, your name is right there. Your name is right there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have the best handwriting.
No, you
Still
didn't.
don't.
Anyway, you're right. Like, this shaped a lot of how I wrote. Even like when I wrote my own stories, I would use the language, the style of Jacqueline Wilson, and I don't know, I love this book and this one as well. It's called The Bed and Breakfast Star, and it's about little Elsa. Yeah, this was the first.
Can we say something about that book?
Oh, it's not yours.
I don't think it's actually my book. I think I borrowed it from a friend and I never returned it.
Oh my gosh.
If we went to primary school together and this is your book, please email DOPStv. They will send you back a copy. But yeah, no. Amal, we even wrote our name in it and it's not even our book.
Yeah, I wrote that.
We're such
because I didn't
thieves.
know that it wasn't yours.
Oh, okay. No, I think I borrowed it from a friend. But to be fair, she might have borrowed something from me and not returned it to me.
A PSA, if you've ever borrowed a book from somebody, please give it back.
Yes, because books are like children, right? You spend time with them and then you keep them and you treasure them and then you tell people about your books.
And once you're done, you just close them and put them away.
Well, I mean, like, figuratively. And then sometimes you tell people about, oh, I read this really great book. And then a friend will be like, oh, great, can I borrow it? And obviously you lend it to them.
Your child.
And they never give it back.
Right.
I have several books that I really love that I was looking on my bookshelf this morning and I realized I don't have that book anymore. So if you borrowed a Ken Follett book from me, can you please return it to me? And also my When Breath Becomes Air, whoever out there borrowed my book, please return it to me. Yeah.
So anyway,
sorry.
Back to this. So I feel like these 2 books specifically, well, 3, 2 in 1, it really shaped the way that I made up my own stories, the way I wrote my own stories.
And I also think it's the way you think as well.
Yeah, to a certain extent. And like, I wanted to be British because of these books, because they're British and but the downside to that, is that I always felt that all my stories had to be based in a foreign country. It had to be like British or American. Like whenever I wrote a story, I'd be like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to write about something in Malaysia? Because like,
interesting.
Yeah, it was a problem for me personally because I felt like I couldn't write about anything in this country because I wasn't from Britain or the US or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you read a lot of Malaysian-based or Malay books growing up?
The only BM book I ever read as a child is because Mama forced us to. It's about it's a book called Aku Boleh. Did you ever read that? It's
about the
Fuad.
little...
It's about this boy named Fuad.
He had curly hair.
Yeah, curly hair, and he had an arm that was...
It was an arm or a leg?
Yeah, it was an arm.
It was an arm?
It was an arm. He was a bit disabled, I think.
Okay.
Is that okay to...
Yeah.
He's a bit disabled, and he had... his arm was a bit dysfunctional, I think.
Right.
So he was always bullied, and then in the end, he saves the person who bullies him.
From the ocean.
The ocean, yeah. And then, like, he throws his arm in the air, and he says, like,
Aku boleh.
Yeah.
Actually, it was white, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a white cover with, like, a... Yeah.
Yeah. Another one that I read...
Oh, wait, but that deeply affected me, and Mama told me to, like, read the other Malay books that we had, but none of them, like, held a candle to...
Aku boleh.
To Aku Boleh. So I never enjoyed anything else. Any other Malay book. Like, I never finished any other Malay book.
I think when I was a child, I didn't read too many Malay books. I think it's once I got into high school, because you had to read...
Panas Salju. You read that, right? For Form 3?
Yeah. And also Sehijau Warna Daun.
Yes, that one is about a kid who has like his mom is like not mentally there or something.
I can't remember. I just remember the cover. It was green because it was Sahija Warnadar. But then also I had like friends that would read Malay novels.
Right.
So I read like Legenda Budak Setan and like Pilot something. It was from the same writer as Legenda Budak Setan.
Ahadiat Akasha.
That's him. Yes, Ahadiat Akasha.
Because it's on the shelf and I look at it all the time. Like, why is Iman reading this? It has Setan in the title.
Yeah, no, I was like obsessed with Ahadiat Akasha for a while. And I think she was okay with buying them for me because they were in Malay. And I think she just wanted me to read Malay books. But there was a time in school where they banned those books.
Yes, any book you brought to school, they would take it away if they did spot check.
Yeah, because you know what I would do sometimes? This is horrible, but sometimes a lesson would be going on. And you know, in school, it was like a desk and then you had that drawer, space. I would be reading Ahadiat Akasha like underneath while teacher was teaching because I had to give that book to my friend after break.
Right.
So I'd read it during class.
Of course you did.
But yeah, no, I think Malay books are as important as English books.
Of course. Yeah, I didn't know that when I was a kid because these were all the books I ever read were written by white people, and I feel like that really affected my perspective on things or just life in general. You know, I'd be like, oh, why do I live here? There's no snow and like it's so hot and there's no seasons, you know, like things like that.
Yeah. I think books really just shape like the way you think, talk and speak and write and everything.
Definitely.
But I think if I had to pick one pivotal childhood book, it would have to be Harry Potter.
Yes.
Which you brought.
Right here.
This is the original. Okay. So this is the original Harry Potter. Original cover, illustration, cover, whatever. You can see that we wrapped all our books. Like all our books are wrapped like in hardcore plastic. Because apparently we're very hardcore. And I have my name on it again. Iman and Amal.
Written in gel pen.
Written in blue gel pen. That was like all the rage back then. And also, I wanted to keep the covers nice, the corners nice. So
Is that why you did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like sellotape on the corners.
Yeah, because I didn't want the corners to bend. But I just wanted to say, first published in Great Britain 1997. Yeah, I was about 7 years old. And I remember reading this, and I think Mama just picked it up from MPH, not knowing what Harry Potter was. And that time it wasn't big at all.
Yeah.
Nobody knew about Harry Potter.
Right.
I went to school and I was like, oh, have you guys read Harry Potter? Nobody knew what it was.
Right.
And then the second book...
Good for you for being a pioneer.
You know me.
You get points.
I'm a pioneer. J.K. Rowling, call me, you owe me. No, I'm just kidding. But I think the fact that it was 7 books.
Right.
And it literally carried on to my high school years.
To your Form 5, yeah.
Till I was Form 5.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I remember the last book, I went to MPH and I queued.
You slept over at someone's house and you guys went together, I think. I can't remember who that person was.
I can't remember that person.
But you queued up
either,
at Tesco, right?
I can't remember.
Tesco, and you got like a free mug.
Yes.
I remember the mug.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And you know, I actually lent the last book to my high school crush.
Of course you did.
And because I wanted him to like me.
Right.
So I was like, here's the last Harry Potter. I have it. I finished it. Do you want to borrow it?
Did he borrow it?
He did, but he ended up not liking me anyway. Oh. So, you know.
You're married now.
Why is there a... Did you bite my book?
I think a rabbit did that.
Oh my gosh.
We used to have rabbits and they would bite everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to think Albus Dumbledore was such a hottie. I mean, look at that.
Really?
No?
Nah.
Yeah. Winner of the 1997 Smarties Goal Award.
Great job,
I bet you J.K. Rowling doesn't care about the Smarties Goal Award now.
Yeah.
That was a good one. But so I was going through my bookshelf and I was thinking, okay, you know, we're going to talk about books today. I want to talk about, yes, I know Amal's bringing all the children's books, all the childhood books, but what are some of the adult books that I like?
Mm-hmm.
And usually when people ask me on social media or anything, like, is there one book that you would recommend that would help me? Mm-hmm. This is the one that I always recommend. It's called The Greatness Guide by Robin Sharma. Kinokuniya 60 ringgit 25 cents. And I wrote in it, when did I buy this? Oh, I'm going to read the note, but
oh gosh,
Mommy probably won't be very happy. It says here, June 19, 2015, a gift from Ashraf and Noel Hart. And I think Mom won't be happy because technically we weren't married yet at that time. That's funny. That's funny. We got married a month later.
2 months. June, right?
Oh yeah, I got married in August. Sorry, don't know how to do math. But this,
I don't think you need math.
Okay,
sorry, continue.
This is the one book that I would recommend to anyone who wants like a positive, like uplifting perk up in their life. So this book is written by Robin Sharma. He's the CEO of Sharma Leadership International, and he's basically one of the forefront authors in like self-help, self-development, like being the best version of you. And I've read a few of his other books, but to me, nothing comes close to The Greatness Guide. Firstly, it's short stories, Mal. Like it's every chapter is like 2 to 3 pages long, and I think there's 101 lessons that you can take away, and they're really applicable. And it just like, for me, it made me realize that, you know, something to change your life doesn't have to be as big as a book. It can just be a small chapter.
Right.
And he names them all really interesting things. So I dog-eared this one. I don't know why, but there must be a reason. Simple tactics for superb relationships. Here are 10 deceptively simple ideas for building your human connections. Blah, blah, blah. Be the most positive person you know. Be candid and speak truthfully. Be on time. Say please and thank you. Under promise, over deliver. Leave people better than you found them. Be caring and friendly. Be a world-class listener. Become passionately interested in other people and smile a lot. Like, isn't that the most simple things? Like, this book is just a ton of stuff that are simple things.
Right.
You should read it.
I don't know. I've never been a fan of books that have short stories in them.
They're not short stories.
They're just short chapters.
Yeah, it's like literally 2 to 3 pages of like really quick lessons that you can learn.
I guess so. I don't know. I'm not a fan of self-help books. I do not.
Because you don't need help?
No, it's not that. I'd rather, I'm a very fiction person. Like I like to read fictional books. I mean, or even if they're not fiction, at least in a story form kind of thing. Well, actually, that's ironic that I just said that because this book that I'm about to open up, it's kind of like short stories. Well, it's called Confessions of a Male Nurse. I know this is the randomest book I could have picked up, and I don't really take books that have the word confessions in it seriously.
There was a time where every other thing was a confession. Confession of a shopaholic, confession of a drama queen, confession of a... Yeah.
So, like, I don't really take them seriously. But I don't know why I was kind of drawn to this book. I actually had an MPH voucher because I, like, got best improved student or whatever in, like, literature.
How lovely.
I know. So I went to MPH and I saw this book and I don't know what it was, but I just picked it up and I decided to get it. And it is, I can honestly say it's one of my favorite books. Interesting. And it gave me... It opened up the world of healthcare, the whole, like, because it's written from the perspective of a male nurse. I mean, and that's quite unusual for, like, what, I think 20 years ago? I'm not sure. But yeah, so it's about his experiences on being in the healthcare industry and how people treat him as a male nurse. He gets a lot of, like, why are you a nurse and a man? But I really appreciated his perspective and like the whole thing about taking care of people, putting your life, making your life about caring for other people. And that really affected me in a way where I wanted to do that as well, even though I'm still not there.
And you're not a male.
I'm not a male. I'm not a nurse. It's sort of set the path for what I want to do in the future. Maybe not a nurse, not a doctor, but like where I put my life for other people. But it still hasn't happened.
Like a life of service.
It's something that I will strive for.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of, it's so difficult to try and say what I'm trying to say. I basically just want to be sure that I'm useful to other people. That's the bottom line. That's the message I got out of that book. And I read it from time to time just to like remind myself, even though like I feel like I'm nowhere near that. Maybe one day. Yeah, so I guess in the under the title of books that changed my life, I guess this is as close as it gets to it. So whoever you are, Michael Alexander. It's a pseudonym. I know that's not your real name, but thank you. I really appreciate you. Yeah.
That's so sweet, Mal.
Thanks.
That's so nice. Now I don't know if my next book is going to be anywhere as good. Oh, you know what? It is.
Okay. What is it?
Going on topic of serious books, Anderson Cooper. Before Ashraf, he was the love of my life. This was when I was on my forward trajectory of thinking that I was going to become a journalist. Him and Christian Amanpour were the two journalists I really looked up to. And when I found his book in Kinokuniya, 51.54, that's really cheap for a Kinokuniya book.
That is actually.
Yeah. I thought to myself, I just had to get it. So I think I saved up and I bought this book. And firstly, I love it because it's a little bit of a memoir about Anderson Cooper. So, I got to learn about my boyfriend a little bit, which I thought was nice. And I think he also shares a lot of stories from the front line. So what it's like to actually be a journalist and to actually tell stories from war-torn places. And I think this was the first book that really opened my eyes to, being a journalist is not just glamorous, on TV, behind a desk, you're actually out there, in the middle of it all. And it made me reassess, at 16, 17, however old I was when I bought this, is being a journalist what I want? Oh, here, graduated from CIMP Sunway 1 year, 30th November 2008. So yeah, I was 18. Trying to figure out, is being a journalist what I want to do?
Right.
So I feel like books aren't just books. It's the actual idea behind it and the actual words from people. So for me, that's why I like reading nonfiction. I like reading biographies, historical novels, and all of that, because you're seeing a part of the world that you would never necessarily go or see. I will never sit down with Anderson Cooper unless he wants to call me.
Okay. Sure.
But I'm never going to get a coffee with him.
Right.
So I'm just going to read his book. And that's kind of knowing someone even more intimately than you would if you had just met someone over coffee.
True.
Which is something that Robin Sharma said in The Greatness Guide. He's like, if you want to read biographies about really interesting people that you want to know about. Because that's how you know their soul. So this book is called Dispatches from the Edge, a memoir of war, disaster, and survival, written by Anderson Cooper. And it was a #1 New York Times bestseller. I think we discussed this the other day. And somebody asked me this on social media. How do I pick my books? How do I decide what's something that I read? What's your take on it?
If the summary is good,
which is this back.
If the summary is good and you're interested in it, open it and read a page. And if you can get through the page without getting distracted, I think go for it. I think that's how I pick my books.
Yeah.
But I do get a bit annoyed when the back doesn't give you a summary. It's just
best book of the year.
Yeah. And then when they're wrapped, you're like, how am I supposed to know? Yeah. That's kind of annoying. But that's how I go. That's what I do. I just read the back. And if I can't remember where I heard this, but the covers usually attract people to pick them up, and when they pick them up they spend about 15 seconds looking at the summary, what? But I heard this a long time ago, so I
don't know, but roughly
so basically they look at the cover for 5 seconds and they pick it up, and then they look at the back for 15 seconds, and in that 15 seconds you kind of make a decision whether you want to open it or something.
Oh, because we went to a book fair recently.
We did.
And it was really interesting because we went our separate ways, as you should at a book fair. You should never be...
with someone.
Yeah. You can go with someone, but then go your own way. Because different people like different things. And then I had a full cart.
Right.
And then we met up and we went through all the books. And after we checked out and everything, we went home. And you said something that was really interesting.
What did I say?
That all the books that I picked out...
were read.
Yeah. And they are not books that you would have picked up.
Yeah.
Because I like a very distinct cover.
Yes. There's a style of cover that you picked up, and there was a style of cover that I picked up.
I never noticed that. So what is my style?
I don't know. When there's people on the cover, you tend to pick up books that have people
I
on the
mean,
cover.
he's so good looking.
Not
Come
this
on.
guy. Just generally. Like, even that one book that you picked up had like a human baby on it, you know?
Oh yeah, the
Is
one about
The
China.
China. Yeah. So like a lot of those you pick. I never pick up books with people on them. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. And I know they always say don't judge a book by its cover. But let's be honest, we all do.
No, I was actually...
I do.
Yeah, I do. And I was actually taught in college by my English lecturer, Miss Beth Ford from Newfoundland, Canada. She said that you should throw that out the window.
Yeah.
And you should judge a book by its cover. Because that's going to be the thing that attracts you. Like, I'm exactly the same like you. I pick it up, I look at it, I read the back.
Right.
Hate the ones at the back that have...
The comments.
Yeah.
The praise or whatever.
Yeah, like, I want to know what the book is about.
Exactly.
And I flip through it and I try and read, like, a line or two and figure out like if it's written from like a perspective point or if it's like very too historical.
And, yeah, the style of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes me decide.
Yeah. Does whether it's written from a first person point of view or a third person point of view like affect you?
No.
You're okay with either. Yeah.
How about you?
It depends on my mood. Yeah, but it doesn't really. Like if a book is good, it's good.
I was gonna say that thing. A good book is a good book.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any more books that you want to share?
No, I don't. But I do. I forgot to bring this book actually. But one of my most favorite books is called. It's by Cecilia Ahern. Ahern, is that her? Ahern. I don't know.
Ahern. Cecilia. We'll call her Cecilia.
Where Rainbows End.
Yeah.
I love that book because it's written in an epistolary form. When it's letters and
epistolary form.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Okay. No.
I think so.
We can look it up.
Yeah, Anyway, it's just like internet chats, emails, letters, cards. Yeah, it's written in that form, and I really love it. I remember picking it up, and because it's like one of those giant books, like when the first edition print, it's like they're giant, right? And then they somehow managed to print them in small. Besides the point, so I picked it up and I was like, oh, this is probably one of Iman's books that are like really sappy and boring. Sorry, I thought that of
you. Thought wrong, my friend.
Yeah, and I could not put it down. Like I was in Form 1 or Form 2, I think. So I was reading it and I knew that I couldn't stay up too late because I had school the next day. So about 12 o'clock, I was like, okay, you know what? I have to go to sleep. So I put it down, but then I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I didn't want to switch on the light because I didn't want Mama to come and tell me to go to sleep. So, I had a Nokia N70 and it had like a flashlight at the back. So I literally just was in my bed going like this, like that. And I read till like 2 a.m. and I got through more than half the book. And I was like, okay, I actually have to go to sleep tonight. I actually have to go to sleep now. So yeah, and then I finished it like the next day or something.
Wow.
That giant. It was really
thick. It's thick.
Yeah.
Here, epistolary.
Yeah, epistolary, definition of epistolary, of relating to or suitable to a letter, contained in or carried on by letters. It's written in a form or series of letters. So an epistolary novel. Yeah, I think Jane Austen's first novel that people don't really know about is an epistolary novel.
Oh, I don't know.
But like, it's not. I think she wrote it as like when she was a lot younger. So I don't know if it ever got published.
Oh, interesting.
If I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that.
But
Yes.
there are two classic books that I just found out you have never read.
Oh, Little Women.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. So these are two books that Mama bought for me. Hold on. I'm pretty sure I wrote my name on it. Iman AZMAN, 31st. What's 10? October 1999. So I was 9 years old. And Iman AZMAN was written by Papa wrote it. So that's why it's really nice handwriting. And I remember that these two books were really... Hold on. Sorry. And I remember these two books deeply affected me. Like, I was 9 years old when I read them. Okay, so these are the two books that I feel, if I had to, all the books that we've talked about are great, but if I had to pick two books that like defined my reading style, were these two, Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery, and then Little Women. I hope more people read Little Women and not just watch the movie.
Kirsten Dunst.
Who else is in it?
I don't know.
Winona Ryder is in it.
Really?
Yeah, she played Jo. I think Susan Sarandon's in it. She plays the mom.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I know
It's a really good book, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. It's about these 4 sisters and basically their lives. I think this is based in the United States.
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's based in the United States. It's about how the 4 girls are very different and how they basically grew up.
Right.
And I know it made an appearance in France.
I was thinking that Joey puts it in the freezer.
Joey puts it in the freezer because he was scared of what was going to happen. But this is, I think, these 2 books defined my childhood. And I think also defined the way I read and the types of books that I like.
Right.
Which are more historical, gives me a perspective from someone else's point of view.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. So.
And a very popular answer.
Yes. So I posted this yesterday asking people that we were going to be talking about books today on the episode. And a lot of really great responses. I want to say that the most popular one was Reclaim Your Heart by
Yasmin
Mojahid. Have you read that book?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Because, as you know, I stick to fiction.
You're very one tone. Yeah. I've read that a lot of people have read it. Like, I think almost half of people's responses read this book. Also because the demographic is mostly Muslim women that follow me, who are the ones that responded.
Right.
And I've heard that it's a really good book. I've never read it myself either.
Right.
But I feel like I should.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people connect with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I don't know what the book is about. Yeah. Like, but I'm assuming, just by the title, what would you assume the book is about? Reclaim Your Heart.
No, I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not very adventurous, I guess, when it comes to books.
Okay, but assume what is the book about? If the title is Reclaim Your Heart.
Like a...
Make a assumption.
I don't know, like a self-help almost.
About? For
Muslim women living in this day and age. I don't know. I'm really
okay.
Not sure.
That was an educated assumption. Okay, Reclaim Your Heart. Personal insights on breaking free from life's shackles. The cover. I know you would not pick up the cover.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick up a cover like that.
Because that's the cover. Maybe that's why I haven't read the book.
Maybe.
Because, but yes, it says here.
I know that it's a good book.
Yeah, many people have talked about it. Many of us live our lives entrapped by the same repeated patterns of heartbreak and disappointment. Often we have no idea why this happens. Reclaim Your Heart is about freeing the heart from this slavery. It's about the journey in and out of life's most deceptive traps. This book was written to awaken the heart and provide a new perspective on love, loss, happiness, and pain. A manual of sorts, Reclaim Your Heart will teach readers how to live in this life without allowing life to own you. It is a manual of how to protect the most prized possession, the heart. Judging by the synopsis, I know you wouldn't read it.
Yeah.
I would probably give it a go.
Yeah, I know you would.
But I am also the type where I don't really like to read things that are too hyped.
Yes.
Like if I know everyone's reading it, I'm like, I probably won't read it.
Yeah.
Until like it dies down or something. I don't know. Maybe it's just something innate within me. I don't really like to go with the crowd.
Right. Me too.
Yeah, because everybody was reading this book and everyone is reading Billion Dollar Whale.
Right. I knew you were going to say
that.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just like such a fad. Everybody was reading it. Right. So when I know that, I tend to not want to read it, like purposely. Like I won't read that. But you know, I think it's a good synopsis. I think I will probably try and read it at some point.
And let me know how it goes.
I will let you know. I'll give you the Cliff Notes.
Yes.
Another popular one that people said they loved was Tuesdays with Morrie.
Right. I picked up that book.
By Mitch Albom.
Yes, by Mitch Albom. I read a few pages and then I just put it down. So I don't know. How did you read it?
No, I did the same thing. It was really big when I was in high school, and a friend of mine said, "Oh, read this book," and like the 7 People You Meet in Heaven or something like that by Mitch Albom.
Yeah.
I read like the first few pages and I'm like, I don't think this is for me.
Right.
And that's the thing, not every book is for everyone.
Yeah.
Like you can't say that, you know, and you can't judge a book by saying like, oh, this is a bad book, whatever. It's just not your taste. It's not your style.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, for everything, basically.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong, nothing's right.
Someone here wrote Thursdays.
Thursdays.
I'm sure you meant to say Tuesday. It's okay. Jodi Picoult.
Yeah, I've heard someone pronounce it Pico.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm not sure. But yeah,
Jodi
no,
Picoult.
actually, I forgot. Yeah, I was thinking about her yesterday. I read a lot of her as well when I was growing up, because you had a lot of the books,
Right.
and I just read it. A lot of the things that I read was just because you had them, and then I
Yeah.
just picked them off the shelf.
I
Yeah.
think I was going through a Jodi Picoult phase.
Mhm.
Picoult. Let's
Let's
just
call her
go
Jodi.
with
Let's just call her Jodi.
Jodi Cecilia.
Yeah.
I think I went through a Jodi phase.
I wanted to be a lawyer for a bit because of her books. Did you ever have that?
Yeah.
Because it seems so exciting.
But I ended up shying away from her because I felt her books were very dark. Like every
Yes.
time I read a Jodi book, I would feel so down.
Yeah.
And it feels so depressed.
Right.
Because a lot of them were about dying. Like I think the one that really stuck with me, obviously My Sister's Keeper. Everybody knows that book.
Yeah, that one.
But also, I can't remember. I can't remember which story it was.
For me, I really liked Salem Falls.
I didn't read that one.
That one, like, I couldn't stop reading it till I finished it, kind of thing. I guess her books shed a lot of light on injustices, like how people don't get truly what they deserve, as in the bad people don't get the bad that they deserve, and the good people get too much, get a lot of bad that they don't deserve. You know, that's how I felt from her books. So I really, but then her books tend to have a pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And when I discovered that pattern, I was like,
yeah, it's the same thing, different characters, slightly different, but at the same time, I really enjoyed you, Jodi.
Jodi, thank you, Jodi.
Thank you so much for that part of my childhood. That was when I started to feel like I was becoming an adult, and I'm like, ooh, I'm reading Jodi Picoult.
I'm reading a Jodi book.
I'm reading about law. Yeah.
The Kite Runner was another really popular one.
I did not pick that up
I did.
because I was scared, because it seems like it's sad.
It is sad.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a really beautiful book. And I think that was one of the first books that I read that originated from the Middle East.
Right.
I think it's based out of Afghanistan, if I got that right. But that's a really good book. A lot of people also said The Alchemist here. Yasmin Mojahid. Someone said, Iman, this is such a hard question. Please don't ask us hard questions. So it's good to know that a lot of people like to read.
Yeah, that's very reassuring.
Yeah.
In a way, you know. But I feel like as I got older, there was less time to read books, and not just less time. It was just like, even when you did have time, you wouldn't want to read. You know, you just want to lie down and do nothing. You know?
I find that I actually stopped reading when I got a computer.
Right.
Because when I got a computer, I would go on YouTube and like watch movies and
America's Next Top Model on YouTube, part 1, 2, 3, 4. Part 1 out of 5.
those were the times. There was no streaming. There was no popcorn time. You just had to go on YouTube.
Right.
But yeah, I find that I stopped reading when I got a computer.
Right.
But now that I'm now slightly older and I realize that, hey,
Yes. Yeah.
movies are going to be whatever, but books are the ones that are going to stay.
Right.
And it's everlasting. Like people started writing literally like 500 years ago.
Yeah.
Or however long.
Yeah. I always, I'm like constantly trying to get back into that groove. Because yeah, ever since I did my A-levels and went to university, like it just, priorities weren't on books anymore. And then when I had a holiday and then I read a book, I'd be like, I forgot how good that felt, you know?
Yeah.
You know, that period of time right after you finish a book, you're just like, I don't know what to do with my life anymore.
Yeah.
Like, where are these characters?
Yeah.
They've left me. But yeah.
I think when I was younger, because I read Enid Blyton a lot, right? Like obviously you know that you're a Muslim and that, you know, one day you will like pass and then, you know, Day of Judgment and all that. But I always thought to myself, wouldn't it be so great to just live in an Enid Blyton book and have your life just continue on as a pixie?
Yes.
And to like never die and just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. I'm just going to read a few more really good books that people recommended. The Little Prince came out many times. I've never read The Little Prince. But that one was popular. The Alchemist, Phantom of the Opera, When Breath Becomes Air, Dumped by Amal, someone, her name is Amal something.
Then it must be good.
Dumped by Amal Nadia. That came out like 5-6 times.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either, but now I need to look it up. A really good one, I just want to say, if you are looking for a good inspirational book and you are in the workforce as a woman, Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg is really good. I really enjoyed that. And she has another one called Plan B, which I haven't picked up yet, but that is also really good as well.
Okay, so like all in all, we like reading, we love reading, and we think everyone should read.
Yeah.
And all the books that we used to read really shaped us as people, I feel. Well, not as people, bits of our personality here and there.
And it's good to know that other people also enjoy the same types of books that we do.
Mm-hmm. And I'm so glad that I have grown out of the perspectives that I used to have from these books. So even though it was good, at the same time, I felt like that thing where I felt like I had to write a book based in a certain area. I couldn't write it based in religion. I don't understand that. It's such an irrational
You
thing
were a
as
child.
a child.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I'm glad I've grown out of that, but I still really appreciate the lessons that they've taught me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so books are good.
Yeah,
Read books.
And it was nice revisiting some of the books that,
Yeah.
because I haven't picked up like Mallory Towers in forever.
Yeah. I actually just reread one of the Jacqueline Wilson ones, and like I had a great time.
At 22 years
At
old.
22. So, yeah.
Thanks so much for watching this episode, guys. If there are any books that you guys really enjoy and you think that Amal and I should read, please comment them down below.
Great.
We will include all of the books that we've mentioned in the show notes. So if there is any book that you want to pick up, inshallah, the title and the author should be there for you for ease, inshallah.
Yes. So thank you for listening in or watching, whichever one you're doing. We'll see you next time.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.